How we doing on this cold Tuesday afternoon, guys? This is Frank, House of Orange Sports Channel, coming at you. Tony Vitello had his press conference today, coming off the pizza series this weekend. He discussed a lot of things today that we're going to talk about. Of course, we did our live baseball preview last night. We kind of summed up everything with our preview series on it, and a lot of what we talked about, I felt like, was talked about today in Tony Vitello's press conference as well. Make sure you hit that like, that share, that subscribe. We will be live with you tonight, immediately after the Tennessee-Kentucky game. As it stands right now, things could change. We're going to have a full house in here. Should have a good little panel of guys to talk about things tonight. But, a lot of questions going on. We talked about it last time. We talked about the positions. We talked about expectations. We talked about the lineup. We talked about all these things, and really kind of a lot of things right now. I feel like there were some answers today, and there's still some questions out there as well. So the first thing we want to talk about was Alberto Osuna, the North Carolina transfer who come in. The NCAA, as of right now, has still not granted his eligibility. I've read that Tennessee's not concerned about that, but it's a matter of when's it going to happen. Will he be eligible by this weekend? I think that's going to be interesting, and that remains to be seen, because we know one thing with the NCAA, they're not going to get in a hurry. We've seen it before with transfers. They do not get in a hurry. They do take their time on that. So who knows when he'll get ruled eligible. The good thing of it is, though, Tennessee's got plenty of talent right now. Tennessee's got plenty of talent in the meantime who can still get the job done. I think he's a big piece as far as going through the whole season. Right now, though, if he has to miss a series or something, you're okay with that. We're okay. There's enough there, and I don't mean that to discredit him by any means. But his Tennessee team, man, it's full of talent. I'm just telling you, it is. And we talked about it last night. I'll link that at the end if you want to check out some of that as well. But Osuna out, and I asked Tony Vitello, said, well, who's going to start at first base this weekend? He said you could see up to 4 guys playing first base this weekend. And with that said, too, Andrew Fischer, Cannon Peebles have been out with arm injuries so far. And so Peebles has been DHing. Fisher's been out some. He's played some first base some. And Tony Vitello said, especially with these guys in their draft year, we're not going to go out here and just abuse them. We're not going to go out here and overuse them. We're not going to put them in the race. So they'll be good to go this weekend. But it would not surprise me if they play minimal innings this weekend. I think you will see, if we go as many as 4 guys at first base, if you include Fisher in on that, all right? You've got Fisher. If Osuna's eligible, he'll factor in. Dalton Bargo is going to factor in. Levi Clark is going to play somewhere at some point this weekend. Could a Blake Grimmer or a Hunter Hyde play somewhere this weekend? Part of me wonders if they're not down a little bit, but also could Stone Lawless. I think Stone Lawless is probably your catcher, but Dalton Bargo can catch as well. You got Brooks Wright out of Knoxville. I'm curious to see what his role is, because he's a guy who lit it up in the fall. Chris Newstrom can catch. Chris Newstrom's been playing more outfield a little bit here recently, but he can play anywhere. And I've been told he's a really good catcher also. My initial thought is Bargo, Clark, Fisher, possibly Osuna, if he's eligible, is your 4, but they could go more than that. How does that affect the rest of the infield? To me, if Fisher's playing first, or if Fisher's DHing, or Fisher's out, Manny Marin's your third baseman. It could be Ariel Antigua, and you may see a little bit of both of them. But based on what I've reading and an educated guess on my part, you'll see Manny Marin, true freshman, who's really began to show out. And again, I think it's Stone Lawless behind the plate, Chapman, Inslee, Jay Abernathy, your outfield. And, I think a lot of it will play out over time. And you'll see guys like, if they're not in, Marin, Chris Newstrom, Levi Clark. You'll probably see some Colby Backus at some point this weekend. There's other guys that we didn't even talk about last night. I mean, there's a dude, and I kind of hate we didn't mention him, a guy who's, I'm curious to see if he has a role, Dane Morrow. He's a freshman. When I saw him play back in the fall, he had a heck of a game in the Smoky Stadium. He's done some good things in preseason. There's plenty of talent out here. There's no shortage of talent on this team. But I think you'll see a lot of guys play this weekend for it. And then shifting to the pitching, Tony Vitello, and we talked about this last night, how it looked. He did confirm Liam Doyle goes Friday night. Marcus Phillips is going Saturday, and he left it open for Sunday. But part of me thinks he kind of foreshadowed it a little bit because, and I quote, let me pull this back up. He said, let me pull it back up here. I've lost where he's at here on the rotation. He made mention, I've lost my place here on it, but he made mention about how Drew Beam as a freshman did not, it was kind of, they knew, but they didn't announce it last minute. He said, Liam will start on Friday, then Marcus Phillips will start on Saturday. We will not announce our Sunday starter, kind of how we've done it, the coach said of his weekend plans. Drew Beam stands out because he kind of, not accidentally, it was last-minute decision to start on Sunday his freshman year, opening weekend, and he never relinquished that. So going into opening weekend, if these pitch counts being the way they are, we want to have everybody available and focused on winning opening day and winning on Friday and then worry about the rest of the weekend. To me, and based on they threw Tegan Coons 1 inning this past weekend, and Tony Vitello said, yeah, we're aware of him. We're saving him. We want to kind of save him for the weekend and not use him too much on it in the pizza series. I'm kind of thinking based on that, you're going to see Doyle Friday, Phillips Saturday, Coons Sunday. That's my pick on it. With that said, I think Friday and Saturday, I'll tell you a little bit as well, depending on who you see. Because I think Sneed's in the mix. I think Dylan Loy's in the mix. And I think Brandon Arvidsson is in the mix as well. But I don't know. That right there, just based on the comments that he's made, I'm going to be kind of – and I've said it the whole time. I'm going to be surprised if it's not Coons in there. I don't know how many innings he goes on Sunday. If he does start, I don't think they'll try to throw him a complete game or nothing. They're going to try to get innings in. They want to take care of business against Hofstra this weekend. I'll preview Hofstra later in the week as we get closer to that. But that's kind of what I'm expecting to see. And then, of course, I think you'll see plenty of pitchers this weekend, though. And if everything plays out like you hope, Tennessee hopefully takes care of business on it. And then they return Tuesday and get UNC Asheville at home. And then the following weekend, they've got Samford at home as well. So I think right now, as you're getting into non-conference play, as you're going through, the next few weeks here, that's going to be all about finding out who's ready for SEC play. And as we know, too, these things can change once you get into SEC play also. Still really surprised about Phillips being in the rotation. But, some of the numbers, if he's not walking guys and he can give you innings, let's do it. But I just hope they've got guys in who are not going to tax their bullpen. I don't need to see the opener anymore. I don't see a guy who can go an inning or maybe 2/3 of an inning or something, then we got to tax somebody for it. I'm hoping we've got legitimate starters who can get 5, 6, 7 innings at least on the weekends. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, like I said, I don't think your rotation this weekend will be where it is later on as well. But, points of interest, Osuna and his eligibility, Peebles and Fischer, interesting to see. They are available this weekend. Did talk about how Osuna has fit in. You risk maybe messing up chemistry adding a guy that late. I mean, if you've seen any of the video, his second at bat in the scrimmage when he hit a bomb, you could hear guys just hooting and hollering on there. So he's fit in good already. Talked a little bit about Hofstra, and that he said, what we know right now, they're a really well-coached team. And he talked about some of the pitching, some of the guys doing that. And he did talk about A.J. Russell, he said Russell's ready to go, but they're going to bring him along And I still maintain I think it'll still be SEC play before we see him along the way. You get him back and see. I'm curious to see how they use him. Will they ease him in? Will he go back to starter, or is he going to be more of a relief role along the way? But I fully expect he'll come back fully healthy and doing his thing when he comes back. But, like I mentioned earlier, these guys, they're in their draft eligible year. They're not going to do anything to try to risk that. I mean, injuries sometimes happen out of control. They're not going to blatantly overuse these guys and injure them. They're just not. And we've seen that before, that they take good care of those guys. And Vitello did mention that sometimes that leads to guys getting pretty mad at him, but he said, we're here to look out for the guys, and I respect that as well. Again, we'll be live tonight right after the Tennessee-Kentucky game. Hope to see you there. Make sure you hit that like, that share, that subscribe. Check out the links in the description for the channel membership, for the Patreon. And also, if you want to say thanks, there's that super thanks option in the bottom right-hand corner. All tips, all donations are very much appreciated on here. Frank, House of Orange, it's a great day to wear the orange.